I was wiping down the kitchen counters when I heard the front door slam. I didn't even flinch anymore. That sound had been echoing through our house since I was 15. My sister Riley always entered like she owned the place, and in a way, she did. Even now, at 28, she still lived with us rent-free, took Mom's car whenever she pleased, and left a trail of chaos behind her. I was the opposite, quiet, careful, invisible. I'd been working 2 jobs to afford community college, then clawed my way into a state university while living in a shoebox apartment. But when Dad died, Mom called me back home, said she needed help around the house. What she meant was, Riley won't lift a finger, and someone needs to. That night, dinner was already tense before anything happened. Riley showed up late, smelling like weed and cheap perfume, giggling over her phone while Mom was plating roast chicken. I was serving mashed potatoes when she bumped into me hard with her shoulder. "Oops," she smirked. "Didn't see you there, shadow girl." Please subscribe to our channel and tell us in comments from where are you watching this video. Mom didn't say a word, just kept pouring gravy like I was a stain on the tablecloth. I went to sit, trying to keep my cool. I didn't want to ruin another night with begging for basic respect, but it all exploded faster than I could have braced for. "I need to talk to you both," I said, trying to sound calm. "I got offered a job out of state, full-time, benefits. I'm thinking of moving." Mom didn't even look up. Riley scoffed. "What? You're leaving your family because you got offered a job scanning barcodes?" "It's a corporate tech assistant position," I said. "In Denver. It's what I studied for. I can finally live on my own again." Riley leaned back in her chair. "Wow, congrats. You want a trophy?" "I just thought you should know," I muttered. Then Riley stood up, walked around to the table, and suddenly shoved me, hard. The chair skidded back. I grabbed the table to steady myself, but she came at me fast, slapped my arm, then shoved again. I told her to stop. She said, "Make me." I got up, told her I wasn't afraid of her anymore. She laughed like I'd told a joke, then shoved me again, this time harder. My shoulder hit the edge of the wall, and something cracked. I screamed. Mom finally looked up, but not at me. She looked at Riley and smiled. "She didn't mean to," Mom said, walking over like it was nothing. "You were provoking her." "I think my arm is broken," I cried, breath hitching, eyes wide. "We have to go to the hospital." Mom shook her head. "You'll be fine." "Fine? Are you serious?" Then she looked me dead in the eye and said it. "Don't call the cops. It'll ruin her life." I looked at Riley. She didn't look scared. She looked victorious. "You'll make it worse if you speak up," Mom added, "like you. Always do. Always so dramatic. Always needing attention." Then she poured 2 glasses of wine, handed one to Riley, and they clinked. To what? My silence? My fracture? I sat on the floor, cradling my arm, stunned. Not just from the pain, from the clarity. They would let me bleed if it meant Riley could shine. They would let me break and break and break again, as long as I didn't ruin her life. And I realized something right then. They already ruined mine. But they didn't know what I could do with broken pieces. Not yet. I didn't go to the hospital that night. I wrapped my own arm, curled into the corner of my room, and bit into a pillow to keep from screaming. Every movement burned. Every second dragged. But the real pain wasn't physical. It was the sound of them downstairs, laughing, watching TV, sharing dessert, while I was upstairs shaking, fractured, forgotten. The next morning, I made an appointment at the free clinic on my own. My left arm was swollen and darkened in color. I had to lie and say I'd tripped over a step because the nurse asked too many questions. Even she didn't buy it. "You sure someone didn't do this to you?" she asked gently. I nodded. I wasn't ready to break the silence. Not yet. Not until it mattered. The X-ray confirmed what I already knew. My radius was fractured. I was lucky it wasn't worse, they said. I had to wear a sling for weeks. At home, no one asked. Riley made fun of the sling, calling it my accessory for sympathy. Mom rolled her eyes every time I walked past like the cast was an embarrassment. But I didn't react. I didn't defend myself. I didn't cry. Instead, I planned. For the next month, I stayed in the shadows. I did everything they expected. I picked up Riley's dry cleaning. I made Mom tea. I paid the electric bill with my own savings. And every time they mocked me, I smiled. Because I had a secret now. See, they thought I was staying because I was weak, but I was staying because I was watching. The night before Riley's birthday, I overheard them talking in the kitchen. Riley was giggling about a guy she was seeing, someone with money, someone who didn't know who she really was. "He thinks I work at that interior design firm," she bragged. "He's so dumb, Mom." "You always were good at pretending," Mom said proudly. "Just keep your story straight. If he finds out about your past, you know what happens." They didn't know I was behind the door, listening, smiling. The next morning, I dressed early and headed into town. I visited the design firm Riley claimed she worked for and asked for her. They looked confused. "No one by that name here," they told me. I asked if she'd ever been employed. "Never," they confirmed. Perfect. Next, I tracked down the guy. His name was Adam. I found him easily. Riley wasn't good at being discreet. His business had a website with her picture on it. She'd even posted fake design tips under a fake portfolio. Bold. I called his office and left a message. I didn't say who I was. I just said, "You should ask Riley what she really does from 9 to 5, and if she ever mentioned her assault charges." The call was anonymous, but it worked, because that night, while Riley was getting dressed for her rooftop birthday dinner, she got a text, then a call, then another. She ignored the first two. By the third, she picked up, and everything crashed. "What do you mean? What do you mean you're done?" she screamed into the phone. "That's a lie! Who told you that?" Her voice cracked. Her hands shook. She slammed the phone down, then turned to Mom. "It's her," she hissed. "It has to be, that little freak." I stayed in my room, quiet, letting it simmer. They burst in without knocking. "What the hell did you do?" Riley demanded. I looked up from my book. "Do what?" "Don't play dumb," she shrieked. "He dumped me. You ruined everything." I stood slowly. "All I did was tell the truth. Isn't that what you always wanted from me? To shut up, lie low, and stay honest?" Mom stepped forward, red-faced. "You crossed a line." I took off my sling and held up the still bruised arm. "So did you." Then I turned and walked out. Not out of the room, out of the house, this time for good. I didn't pack a suitcase, didn't say goodbye, just left. But I wasn't finished yet. Because while they clinked glasses over my silence, I had already sent one more message. To someone they'd forgotten about. The person they forgot was Dad. Not the man who lived with us. The man they pretended didn't exist anymore. My real father, the one Mom divorced when I was 9. The one who used to drive 4 hours just to drop off a birthday card I was never allowed to open. The one Riley always called a failure. The one I hadn't spoken to in years. Not because I didn't want to, but because Mom made it clear. He gave up on you. He's out of your life. That was a lie. Just like everything else. Weeks before I walked out, I found a box in the attic while dusting. Inside, letters. Dozens. From him. Birthday cards, Christmas cards, handwritten notes with return addresses. All unopened. All hidden from me. That night, I sat in the dark and read every single one. By morning, I knew where he lived, and that he'd never stopped trying. So while Mom and Riley toasted each other over my silence, I was sitting at a diner in a small town 2 hours away, across from the only man who ever asked, "Are you okay?" And actually meant it. He didn't recognize me at first. I don't blame him. I didn't even recognize myself. I wore shame like a second skin. My arm still stiff in the sling, my eyes sunken. But when I said, "Dad," he dropped his fork. Tears welled up in seconds. He reached across the table. "I thought you hated me." I shook my head. "I didn't know you were trying. I didn't know anything." We talked for hours. He told me he'd sent money every month, that Mom returned it, that he once drove to my school and waited outside just to see me walk to the bus, even from a distance, that he only stopped writing when everything came back unopened for 2 years straight. He thought I wanted him gone. I thought he left. We were both wrong. I stayed with him, not for a night, for months. And slowly, I came back to life. I got a job at a local bookstore. He helped me sign up for college courses online. He gave me a room with my name on the door. Not worthless, not leech, just mine. But the past wasn't done with me, because Riley and Mom, they didn't take the hint. They didn't stay quiet. They sent messages, threats. One day, I even saw Riley's car parked down the road from the bookstore, watching. So I prepared one final move. Remember that assault? The fractured arm they laughed off? I had photos, medical records, even the nurse's concerned note in the clinic file. And now I had support, legal advice, a safe address. I pressed charges. The court date was scheduled 6 weeks out. Riley was arrested for assault with intent to cause bodily harm. Mom tried to lie, but the messages I saved told the truth. Don't call the cops, it'll ruin her life. That one line, screen capped and printed, was enough. Riley pled guilty in exchange for reduced sentencing and mandatory anger management. Mom, she wasn't charged, but the community knew. People whispered in church. Her social circle shrank overnight. The perfect family image crumbled. But none of that was the real revenge. The real revenge was the invite. 6 months later, I got married. Not to prove anything, but because I was ready to start over with someone kind, steady, and nothing like the people I grew up with. We held a small ceremony in a garden, only 12 guests, my new in-laws, friends from work, my real dad walking me down the aisle. I wore a dress Riley could never fit into. Before the ceremony, I mailed Mom a photo. No note, just the picture. I didn't need to say anything. She knew. Because this time, I was the one who smiled, and she was the one who sat stunned, holding a memory she wasn't invited to, and I was finally, beautifully, free. Please subscribe to our channel and tell us in comments from where are you watching this video.